Hello there, BookTube. This is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book with Friday Reads. Um, I'm going to skip over all the books that I read at the end of August um, or August in general because I've already dived into Shorty September. So I'm just going to do the three books I've done this week for Shorty September. And it's going very well so far. I've ticked off three of the prompts, and I've got started on a fourth one as well. I'm gonna go backwards in order to the one I finished this morning, and that was for the Leopard Print Shorts one, and that was a chess story by I'm gonna get the pronunciation right here. Stefan Zweig. Yes, I think that's right. And this I loved this book. It's obviously a shorty one, but it's very short. It's only about 62 pages or something in most editions. So it's very small novella, and it's very concisely written as well. There's no fat on it, and it's quite beautifully written language as well. And it's the story of a chess match on a cruise ship, or I'm not sure if it's a cruise ship in the modern sense of the word. This was written in 1942, I think, and it's sort of about one of the players' life has been affected by the war. So it's I also don't want it's hard to all shorties, isn't it? Because you don't want to say too much about the plot because the plot is not very long. But it's about first you learn about the chess world champion who is on board, and he is sort of an sort of idiot savant in that he is a kid that was in a monastery as sort of an assistant, and he he's not good at anything else. He has no other knowledge, but he'd sat and watched the monks playing chess and just has an affinity with it, and uh, he can't sort of do anything else. He doesn't. I don't think he can read or anything, and also he can't play in his head. He can only play with the board in front of him, which if you watch chess, most chess players can play, or not people like me, but like chess masters can play without a board. They can play in their head, and this kid can't really do anything in his head. He has to be there. So he's a very specific type of chess genius. And then he is convinced on the cruise by some sort of quite arrogant, brash people to play a sort of an exhibition match against them. So he agrees for money to play against basically the whole cruise ship, but just the people who can play chess, this group of people. And he obviously wins the first game easily, and then the second game another person appears and they help rescue a terrible position and get a draw. And the rest of the novel is the story of this sort of mystery man who's turned up, Dr. B, who is a match for the world champion and claims that he hasn't played chess in 20 years. And that it's a really interesting story that goes into sort of the Nazi occupation of Austria and stuff like that. But it's very concise, and it's all revolving around this chess match. I thought it was sort of brilliantly psychologically done, and also it's it's very interesting to look at chess as a game and the mental effects that chess can have on you, which because considering this was written in 1942 is quite interesting, because it reminded me a lot of Bobby Fischer, who he went insane. He was the world chess champion, an American, but chess makes you paranoid because you are trying to think of the worst case scenario. You're trying to think what your opponent's going to do. You're constantly having to split your brain into two people, and that is deeply explored in this book, in this novella. And it's not good for your if you already have sort of any sort of mental issues. It's not good. It can make things worse, basically. And Bobby Fischer basically went insane and was very paranoid, and lots of other stuff. But if you're interested in that story, I do recommend the documentary Bobby Fischer versus the World. It's a brilliant documentary that shows how wrong the American dream can go. But I'm getting well off course here because I'm a big chess fan. But I thought this was brilliant. It's 5 stars. Highly recommend it if you can get hold of it. It's only like 60 pages. Before that, I read. What did I read? Let me look at my computer. What was the one I finished? So it was. Oh yeah, it was Ripped Shorts. It was a mystery one. I saw Bert talking about this author in his TBR, which is Georges Simenon, the Belgian author of the Maigret novels, and I didn't realise how many of them there were. There's 75 of them, and he's a French detective, quite big, burly man who wears a hat, smokes pipe sort of consistently, kind of the French version of Sherlock Holmes, I guess, or perhaps quite Agatha Christie as well. And I read the Misty Harbour, which is about 12th or something one in the series, and I really liked this as well. I thought the atmosphere of it was very well done. It's about the novel starts with Maigret on a train with a man and a woman, and the man cannot speak. He can't remember anything, and the woman's asleep. And it's revealed that this man had been missing and had turned up with a scar on his head, clearly done by an expert surgeon. So he's been shot in the head and survived and repaired by an expert surgeon. And they already, when the novel starts, they already know who he is. He's like a harbour master at a small French port that's just a village and a port, basically. And he's been missing for weeks. No one knows why he disappeared, but he's been found, and they know who he is, but he can't communicate where he's been. So there's the mystery element there. And then when they get back to the harbour, I don't think this is a spoiler because it happens right at the beginning of the novel. He's killed immediately on the first night he's back. He's poisoned. So the mystery is Maigret trying to work out why this person has disappeared. Why has he been helped? And then when he's been recovered, why has he been killed again? And I felt like the resolution of the mystery itself wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that well done in like an Agatha Christie way, where I was like, oh, that makes sense now. It didn't. There was no point where I could have guessed the ending, but I thought the atmosphere of it was really well done, because it's this sort of really fog-drenched harbour, and there's lots of people running around in the fog and stuff, and lots of things like that. The writing itself is very nice as well, and I really liked the character of Maigret. And again, it's very short, so overall I really enjoyed it. The mystery itself could have been a bit better resolved, but I did see comments on Goodreads saying that this is kind of one where the mystery gets the better of Maigret, and normally he's like a very intelligent detective who solves it through brains, whereas in this one he's always on the back foot. But it was the atmosphere made up for it, so that was a good start. And I will probably read more Maigret ones. That I've got an omnibus, so I might try and get another one in this from the library. So I might try and get another one in before the end of the month. And the first book I read for Shorty September was that one was ripped short, so mystery or thriller. And the first one was Jorts, which was read something from the 70s or 80s. And I read Diary of a Nobody by George and Weedon Grossmith, which is from the 1880s. It was originally serialized in the 1880s, I think. And this is a Victorian book. It's fictional and it was serialized, and it is just the diary of someone, just a lower middle class person. And I found that element of it really interesting, in that you don't often hear about the lower middle class in Victorian times in novels. It's normally sort of the upper class that you're reading about, or the working class. The lower middle is kind of not explored that much. So he's just a clerk, and it's basically his life. He's moved into a new house. His friends are always dropping in and out. His friends are called Coming and Going, which is quite funny. And his wife lives there. His son turns up as well, and he's sort of a bit of a bumbling fool in a way. There's a like a shoe scraper in that keeps people keep falling over, and that there's a whole palaver getting that sorted. And just general, he loves to make a joke and then sort of say how much him and his wife enjoyed it. But other people, you can, even through the diary, you can tell that other people don't have a lot of respect for him, and he's always falling out with Coming and Going, and his son has no respect for him at all. But it was really interesting, the day-to-day life part of it, and just it was funny. I just felt it petered out a bit, in that when it's a diary of just a normal person, it's hard to have a big dramatic story arc. So it kind of, and because it was serialized, I think it just kind of comes to an end a bit. There is things that are resolved to give you an ending, but it just didn't feel like a big story. But that's kind of the nature of it, so I can't really hold it to fault for that. But I do think the serialization element of it had some effect on that. But it was fun, and yeah, that's my 3 Shorty Septembers I've read. I've also made a start on the poetry one, which I'm reading, The Wits and Weddings by Philip Larkin. And again, this is interesting because of class, because I've not really read much poetry in general, but this is sort of very working class poetry, and it's quite interesting to read from that perspective, because I have mostly only read older poetry that is working class people didn't write poetry back then because they couldn't read and write. But yeah, I'm only a few in, and I'm already a little bit confused, but it is very, very nice writing. So I'm enjoying that so far and trying to work it out as I go. I don't know what I'm going to do next book-wise, so we'll see how that goes. I've got to pick something up today. What have you read for Shorty September? BookTube, have you read any of these ones? Has anyone else read any more Stefan Zweig? Let me know. He did. I mentioned in my last video. He sort of did away with himself after he'd written that. So I don't think he had a very long and happy life. So we'll see I've saw on Goodreads someone else that I actually know, not on Goodreads, on the translation. The translator said he translated something else by him, so I might check out more of him because his writing's really lovely. Yeah, so let me know if you've read any of these and what you think of them and what you've been doing for Shorty September. Have a good one, BookTube. Bye.